Jax's revenge domain.
We need to discuss your inappropriate comment about Operations Manager Hampton during yesterday's safety briefing, said Victoria Hayes, our human resources manager. Her voice had that practiced neutrality that actually screamed trouble. I stared at her across the conference table, genuinely confused. What comment? I'd barely said 2 words during that whole meeting. She slid a printed report across the table. Someone had highlighted words in yellow crude, sexually explicit language about Wade Hampton's personal habits that made my skin crawl just reading it. This wasn't me, I said, keeping my voice level despite wanting to slam my fist on the table. I would never say something like this. 3 supervisors independently reported hearing you say these exact words during the 5-minute equipment malfunction. When we lost audio, Victoria replied, tapping her pen against the paper. That's fairly conclusive evidence. Tank, my heart hammered against my ribs like a jackhammer on concrete. Check the recording again. This is garbage. The recording had that audio segment corrupted. Unfortunately, Victoria interrupted. But we have 3 senior staff members with identical accounts. I knew exactly what was happening. 3 senior staff members, all loyal to Wade Hampton, the same Wade Hampton who'd been systematically undermining me since I'd challenged him on the defective body armor we were shipping to troops overseas. The door swung open without a knock. Colonel Andrew Stone, our CEO and company founder, stepped in. His unexpected presence made Victoria straighten up like someone had shoved a steel rod down her spine. Sir, we're in the middle of a disciplinary hearing, she said, smoothing her already perfect blazer. Actually, he said, his voice quiet but filling the room like artillery fire, we need to talk about something else entirely. Victoria's face went white so fast I thought she might pass out. Her hand trembled as she pulled the report back from my side of the table. Mr. Sullivan has been working directly with my office for the past month. He continued, taking the chair beside me instead of the power seat behind the desk. On my explicit instructions, I kept my expression neutral, though inside my mind was racing. I had done no such thing. I'm not sure I understand, Victoria said, her voice barely above a whisper. You will, he replied, then turned to me. Tank, would you mind waiting outside for a moment? And please call Barb Fletcher in legal. Tell her it's time for what we discussed. I stepped into the hallway, the door clicking shut behind me. Through the frosted glass, I could see their silhouettes, the colonel leaning forward, Victoria shrinking back in her chair. Whatever was happening, it wasn't what I'd expected when I'd received that ominous HR summons this morning. My hands shook as I pulled out my phone. I had no idea who Barb Fletcher was or what call I was supposed to make, but something extraordinary was unfolding, and somehow the colonel was stepping in on my behalf. My name is Marcus Tank Sullivan, and until 3 months ago, I was a 47-year-old senior safety inspector who kept his head down and did his work. 25 years at Patriot Defense Manufacturing in Toledo, Ohio. Not particularly ambitious, not particularly noteworthy, just competent and reliable. The kind of employee who gets steady performance reviews but never quite makes it to the executive floor. That changed when I was unexpectedly assigned to oversee quality control for our biggest contract, body armor and protective equipment for troops deployed overseas. The announcement shocked everyone, especially Wade Hampton, my operations manager, who'd been pushing hard for his buddy Rick Brennan to get the position instead. Tank's methodical approach to equipment standards impressed the board. Our division head had explained during the announcement. We believe he'll bring that same attention to detail to military contract oversight. I still remember Wade's expression, a tight smile that looked like someone was performing dental surgery without anesthetic. Listen carefully, he cornered me by the equipment bay later that day. You've been with us, 25 years? I've invested my entire career building relationships with our military contacts. This contract is too important for experiments with unproven leadership. I understand your concerns, I said, trying to sound confident despite the knot forming in my gut. But I've already started reviewing our quality control protocols, and I think, he echoed with a laugh that had no humor in it. Brother, military contracts aren't about thinking. They're about relationships. Relationships that Rick and I have cultivated while you were checking calibration gauges on the shop floor. That conversation set the tone for what followed. Every safety meeting became a minefield, every inspection report a potential trap. Wade's circle, Rick Brennan, Cameron Porter, and Wesley Quinn closed ranks, excluding me from crucial conversations and withholding information I needed to do my job. Despite this, I threw myself into learning everything about the equipment we were producing. Spent nights reviewing test data, material specifications, and ballistic protection standards. What I discovered made my blood run cold. Our latest batch of ceramic plates for body armor was failing impact tests at rates that should have triggered immediate production shutdown. The ceramic compounds weren't bonding properly, creating weak spots that could prove fatal under combat conditions. When I brought these findings to Wade with documentation from our own lab, he dismissed them without even looking. "Those tests are within acceptable variance," he said, barely glancing at my reports. "Continue production as scheduled." Something in his casual dismissal triggered every alarm bell from my years of quality control. This wasn't about meeting deadlines anymore. American soldiers were going to wear defective armor because someone decided profit margins mattered more than their lives. I tried a different approach, scheduling a private meeting with Rick Brennan, hoping he might listen to reason. "Look," he said, lowering his voice in the break room, "everyone knows those lab results are just starting points. We have field testing that shows real-world performance is fine." "What field testing?" I pressed. The impact data clearly shows. Rick's expression hardened. "Tank, some friendly advice. Know when to follow the chain of command. Wade has connections you couldn't imagine. Don't make yourself a problem he needs to solve." That night, I found a note tucked under my windshield wiper in the parking lot. Plain white paper, plain black type. "Some careers end before they begin. Smart people know when to keep quiet." I sat in my truck for nearly an hour, that paper trembling in my hands, wondering what I'd stumbled into and who I could possibly trust. The threatening note was my breaking point that night. I called my brother Bobby, the only person I trusted completely with this situation. Bobby worked construction in Detroit, understood the reality of dangerous equipment when safety got compromised for profit. "You need to document everything," he said immediately. "Record what you can save emails, take photos of test results, and then what?" I asked, pacing my kitchen. "Go to the Union," Bobby said without hesitation. "Lou Martinez has been fighting these battles for 40 years. If anyone knows how to protect a whistleblower, it's him." Following Bobby's advice, I began keeping meticulous records. I photographed failed test samples. I saved emails showing how safety data was being ignored. I compiled evidence of systematic negligence that could get American soldiers killed, and I reached out to Lou Martinez, our senior union representative. Lou was a gray-haired veteran of labor battles, someone who'd seen every corporate trick in the book. "They're trying to intimidate you into silence," Lou said after reviewing my evidence. "But we've got your back. Union's got protocols for exactly this situation." Lou explained how the union had successfully protected whistleblowers before, how they worked with federal agencies when safety violations put workers or military personnel at risk. He also warned me that Wade's people would escalate their intimidation tactics. "Document every interaction," Lou advised. "Keep copies of everything at home, and trust nobody in management until this gets resolved." The union backing gave me confidence, but it also painted a bigger target on my back. Wade's hostility became more open. Suddenly, my inspection reports were being questioned, my access to certain areas restricted, my equipment requests delayed or denied. During a staff meeting the following week, Wade made his intentions clear. "Some people think they know better than experienced leadership," he said, looking directly at me. "But this company succeeds because we trust the chain of command and proven processes." Cameron Porter, one of Wade's loyalists, nodded along. "Absolutely. Troublemakers who undermine team cohesion don't belong in sensitive positions." The message was clear: fall in line or face consequences. 2 weeks after finding the note came the safety briefing that would change everything. Wade had called a mandatory meeting to discuss productivity improvements in our military contracts. 30 of us packed into the main conference room with department heads joining by video. Wade controlled the presentation with his usual corporate polish, clicking through slides that painted a picture of perfect efficiency and ahead of scheduled deliveries. "Production is running 15% above target," he announced proudly. "Quality metrics are exceeding expectations, and our military liaisons have expressed complete satisfaction with our output." Every word was carefully chosen to sound impressive while revealing nothing about the actual safety data. "And now," he said, "Tank will update us on quality assurance metrics." My stomach dropped. This was the first I'd heard about presenting anything. He deliberately blindsided me to make me look incompetent in front of everyone. I stood up, feeling every eye in the room. The weight of all those months of suppressed evidence pressed down on me. This was my moment to either surrender or fight back. "Thank you, Wade. While I haven't prepared slides, I can report that recent impact testing has identified significant concerns with our ceramic plate production that need immediate attention before any further shipments." The room went dead quiet. You could have heard a wrench drop. Wade's smile never wavered, but his eyes went cold as winter steel. "Actually, Tank is referring to preliminary tests that have since been superseded by comprehensive field validation. All quality benchmarks are being met or exceeded." This was a flat-out lie, and he was saying it in front of our entire production team. Every person in that room deserved to know they might be manufacturing equipment that could fail our troops in combat. Before I could respond, the video system crashed. The screens went black, though audio remained active. "Technical difficulties," Wade announced smoothly. While we address this, let me respond to any concerns about our quality standards. We maintain the highest. Then came the voice of Colonel James Thompson, our military liaison, through the speakers, specifically regarding the ballistic resistance ratings in the latest armor shipments. Are we meeting mil-spec requirements with current ceramic composition? Wade's confident expression flickered for just a moment. The question was too specific, too technical to deflect with corporate double talk. I can answer that, I said clearly, my voice carrying to every corner of the room. Our current ceramic plates are failing impact tests at unacceptable rates. The bonding agents aren't meeting specification, creating potential failure points under combat stress. I'm sorry, Wade interrupted, his voice sharp despite his practiced smile. Tank is mistaken. The results he's citing were from early prototype testing and have since been resolved through improved manufacturing processes. Everything is proceeding to military standards. The lie hung in the air like smoke. Everyone in that room knew exactly what they'd just witnessed, a direct contradiction between the guy who actually ran the tests and the manager who signed the contracts. The video feed suddenly returned. Colonel Thompson's face appeared on screen, looking unconvinced and increasingly concerned. I'd like to review both sets of test data immediately, he said, his military bearing evident even through the video connection. Of course, Wade replied smoothly, but I could see sweat forming at his temple. We'll send comprehensive documentation today. When the meeting ended, Wade cornered me by the time clock, his voice low but intense. What exactly do you think you're doing? My job, I replied, matching his quiet tone. Those test results haven't been superseded, and you know it. Something flickered in his eyes, not anger, but calculation. Tank, you're new to contract oversight. Sometimes optimistic projections are necessary to maintain military confidence. The details get sorted in production. These aren't details, I said, feeling my military training kick in. They're safety failures that could get soldiers killed. He placed a hand on my shoulder, his grip surprisingly strong. You need to decide whether you want to be part of this team's success. Not everyone is cut out for the bigger picture. That night, my wife Linda found me surrounded by printouts at our kitchen table, frantically searching for anything I might have missed. You look terrible, she said, setting down her purse. When did you last eat? I shrugged, pushing hair from my face. I think they're going to fire me. Linda pulled up a chair beside me. She'd been dealing with expensive medical treatments for the past year, and I knew the financial pressure was weighing on both of us. Then let them, she said finally. Find a company that values integrity over politics. It's not that simple, I said, showing her the email I just received minus a calendar invitation for an HR meeting the following week. Subject line, performance concerns. Actually, it is that simple, Linda insisted, though I could hear the worry in her voice. Your mental health is worth more than this job. We'll figure out the money. But we both knew the reality. My son Jake was deployed overseas, possibly wearing the same defective equipment I was trying to fix. Linda's medical bills were mounting. At 47, starting over wasn't just difficult. It could be catastrophic for our family's financial future. Twice over the next few days, I drafted resignation letters. Twice I deleted them. Something kept me from walking away, a stubborn belief that truth should matter, that companies shouldn't put American soldiers at risk for quarterly profits. Instead of resigning, I did something that could have ended my career. I began searching for what Wade and his team might be hiding. Under the guise of routine quality assurance review, I started accessing production files I normally wouldn't see. Most requests were denied or delayed, but I managed to piece together fragments of information that painted a disturbing picture. The defective ceramic plates weren't an isolated problem. This was part of a systematic approach to cutting costs while maintaining the appearance of compliance. Lou Martinez proved invaluable during this investigation. His union contacts in other departments helped me understand the scope of what was happening. Workers on the production floor had been raising concerns for months, only to be told their jobs depended on meeting quotas, not questioning processes. They've got everyone scared. Lou told me during a discreet meeting at a diner off-site, but fear only works if people stay isolated. That's why they're trying to discredit you before you can build support. 3 days before my HR meeting, I found the smoking gun. Hidden deep in a budget subfolder was a spreadsheet that made my hands shake as I printed it. It wasn't just about ignoring test failures. Wade's team had actively calculated how many equipment failures the company could absorb before military investigation would cost more than the profits from cutting corners. American soldiers' lives reduced to a cost-benefit analysis, acceptable casualty rates, risk mitigation through legal settlements rather than safety improvements. I stared at those numbers for a long time, thinking about Jake somewhere overseas, trusting his equipment to keep him alive. That night, I called Lou from my truck in an empty parking lot. I found it, I said simply. How bad, he asked. Bad enough that we need federal involvement. This goes way beyond labor violations. Lou was quiet for a moment. You sure you want to go down this road? Once we involve federal agencies, there's no backing out. I thought about Jake, about every soldier, depending on equipment my company was deliberately compromising for profit, I'm sure. Then we do this right, Lou said. Document everything, multiple copies, and we involve people who can't be bought or intimidated. The next morning, I made copies of everything and stored them in 3 different locations. Lou helped me connect with a federal inspector who specialized in defense contractor fraud. The inspector, a woman named Patricia Williams, reviewed my evidence with the kind of methodical attention I recognized from my own quality control work. This is substantial, she said after spending 2 hours going through my documentation, but we'll need more than just test data and budget spreadsheets. We need evidence of intentional deception, preferably recorded communications. The HR meeting tomorrow, I said suddenly. They're planning to fire me on trumped-up harassment charges. If I can get them to admit the safety issues are being covered up. Patricia nodded slowly. Recording laws in Ohio require single-party consent. If you're part of the conversation, you can legally record it. But understand, once you do this, you're committed. There's no going back to your old life. I thought about Jake again, about all the soldiers depending on armor that might fail them when they needed it most. My old life was built on a lie anyway. The HR meeting arrived right on schedule. As Victoria slid that fabricated harassment report across the table, I recognized the trap for exactly what it was, Wade's insurance policy to destroy my credibility before I could expose the truth. My phone, sitting innocuously on the table, was recording everything. Then Colonel Stone walked in, changing everything with his unexpected intervention. Now, standing in the hallway outside the HR office, I still had no idea what to do about calling this Barb Fletcher person. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Mr. Sullivan, this is Barb Fletcher from Legal. The colonel asked me to contact you. Please meet me in conference room B immediately. When I arrived at the small conference room on the administrative floor, a tall woman with close-cropped gray hair stood examining a stack of documents. Barb Fletcher, she said, extending her hand. I understand you've uncovered something significant about our military contracts. I'm sorry, but I'm confused, I admitted. I haven't spoken to the colonel about any of this. Barb smiled slightly. No, but someone else has. Someone who's been watching the situation unfold with great concern. The door opened, and in walked Sarah Kim from accounting, a quiet woman I'd maybe exchanged 10 words with in 5 years. Sorry I'm late, she said, setting down a thick folder. Had to wait until Wade left for lunch to access the remaining files. I stared at her in bewilderment. You're involved in this? Sarah has been our internal compliance auditor for 8 years, Barb explained. She reports directly to the board of directors, not to operations management. And I've been monitoring Wade's team since irregularities appeared in quality control budgets 3 months ago. When you were assigned to military contract oversight, I hoped you'd notice what was happening, Sarah added. The pattern of suppressed test data and altered quality reports. But why not stop them sooner, I asked. Barb's expression hardened. Evidence. We needed irrefutable proof of intentional wrongdoing, not just negligence. When you accessed that risk assessment spreadsheet Tuesday night, it was the final piece we needed. My mind reeled. How did you know I found it? We've been monitoring all access to those sensitive files, Sarah said simply. When you opened that document at 11:47 p.m. and spent 23 minutes reviewing it before printing, we knew you'd discovered the smoking gun. Barb handed me a document. This is a whistleblower protection agreement. By signing, you'll receive immunity from potential retaliation, plus guaranteed continued employment regardless of the outcome. As I scanned the document, one terrible thought struck me. Wade has allies throughout management. Even with this protection, my work life could become impossible. Perhaps Barb acknowledged, or perhaps not. The board has authorized complete restructuring of military contract oversight pending our investigation results. I signed the agreement, my hands steady now with purpose. What happens next? Barb checked her watch. Right now, Wade is being told his presentation to the Military Oversight Board has been moved up 30 minutes. He won't have time to prepare properly or coordinate with his team. Sarah and Barb exchanged glances. Actually, Barb said, we have something more definitive in mind. Something that leaves no room for denial. 3 hours later, I stood in the back of the conference room watching Wade confidently approach the podium, completely unaware that everything was about to change. Wade entered the boardroom with practiced confidence. His presentation materials were arranged with military precision. Thank you for accommodating the schedule change, he told the 12-member oversight board. Before we begin, interrupted Colonel Stone, I'd like to introduce some additional attendees. Wade's smile flickered as he noticed 3 unfamiliar faces. Colonel Thompson, our military liaison, General Patricia Hayes from Defense Contract Management, and Colonel Richard Barnes from Army Material Command. Stone continued. The color drained from Wade's face, but he recovered quickly. What an honor. Their expertise will be invaluable. Wade launched into his presentation, showcasing production schedules and efficiency metrics. Even knowing what I knew, his confidence was impressive. As you can see, we're exceeding delivery schedules by 15% while maintaining full quality standards, he concluded. Excuse me, General Hayes interrupted. These projections assume continued approval of current methods. What's your timeline for addressing the ceramic bonding issues identified in recent testing? Wade's composure finally cracked. His eyes darted to Rick and Cameron before returning to his slides. Perhaps I should address our comprehensive quality strategy. Barb Fletcher rose from the side of the room. Before you continue, we should address some discrepancies in today's presentation. Colonel Stone nodded. Please proceed. Barb connected her tablet to the projector. The risk assessment spreadsheet filled the screen, the one calculating acceptable casualties against profit margins. This document details a strategy to continue production despite known failures, including calculations of potential military casualties against financial impact, Barb explained calmly. Colonel Thompson's expression darkened as he studied the figures. There must be some mistake, Wade said desperately. Barb displayed the next document, email chains with Wade's name clearly visible, discussing how to manage failing test results. The server logs confirm authenticity, Barb replied, as do sworn statements from team members who received immunity in exchange for cooperation. For 40 minutes, Barb methodically presented evidence of systematic fraud and willful negligence. With each revelation, Wade's protests grew weaker. Colonel Thompson, General Hayes, Colonel Barnes, Stone said finally, on behalf of the board, I apologize for what you've witnessed. This behavior doesn't represent our values. Had this equipment reached our personnel, General Hayes said carefully, the consequences could have been catastrophic. We require complete transparency moving forward. Colonel Barnes added. Stone nodded. You'll have it. We're implementing complete restructuring effective immediately. Wade made one final attempt. This is clearly a misunderstanding we can clarify. That won't be necessary. Stone interrupted. Security will escort you and your team out. Your employment is terminated immediately. Cameron Porter stood up unexpectedly. I want to make a statement. I participated under pressure and threat of career sabotage. Tank Sullivan tried repeatedly to address these safety issues and was systematically blocked. Mr. Sullivan, Stone called. Please come forward. Walking to the front past Wade's glare was the longest walk of my life. The board offers you the position of Director of Military Contract Compliance, reporting directly to our Oversight Board. Your integrity has been noted and valued. 6 months later, our new equipment began reaching troops overseas with the highest safety ratings in military testing history. The additional development cost millions, but as Colonel Stone said, integrity isn't expensive. It's priceless. I established anonymous reporting channels and protection protocols for future whistleblowers. Every month, I personally review compliance reports with independent auditors. On the anniversary, I received an anonymous email. You were right, I was wrong. I'm sorry, no signature needed. If you've ever faced choosing between staying quiet and doing what's right, your voice matters more than you know. Sometimes the hardest fights are the most important ones. When it comes down to principle versus profit, remember that integrity isn't just a personal choice. It's a responsibility to everyone counting on you to do the right thing.